Hey, Spartan fans, welcome into this latest edition of the Michigan State Spartans Insider Podcast. I'm your B reporter for Michigan State Spartans on SI, Aidan Champion. And next up on the Spartan schedule, Boston College, a team that this Spartan team knows quite well. Lost to the Eagles last season, was Michigan State's first loss of the 2024 campaign. Things were looking pretty good for the Spartans. The start to the Jonathan Smith era in East Lansing, a 3-0 start, and then they run into Boston College, and we all know that was a game that Michigan State should have won, but ultimately it lost that game on its own. Now has a chance to redeem itself against the Eagles, start the season 2-0, and then you've got another game you should win next week with Youngstown State before you head out on the road. There's a path to a 3-0 start here, and Michigan State needs to get the job done before it begins Big Ten play because after Youngstown State, schedule only gets harder from there. If you can get off to a 3-0 start, you're you're doing your job and you're looking like you're in pretty good shape before you go into conference play. And this game, I feel like as it gets closer and closer, that the fan base is putting more and more pressure on this game, putting more weight on this game. Initially this offseason, I had I hadn't talked much about this game. I was looking more so down the road at the conference schedule, looking at those first two conference games on the road, which I have been saying that stretch is going to be Michigan State's most important of the season, USC and Nebraska, with a bye week in between those. That will ultimately define, I think, where Michigan State's season kind of goes. But now that I think more about it, I mean, this Boston College game, you certainly can't overlook it. And I think we will learn a lot about what kind of team Michigan State has with this game. I think there's a few different things we'll know about this team based on how this game goes. I'm hearing people say that this is a must-win game. Is it? In some ways, in some aspects. When you consider that they lost to the Eagles last year and it was a kind of almost a season defining game. I mean, it was a turning point. After that game, you go on to lose two more. So you lose three straight after starting 3-0. You lose to Ohio State and Oregon. Two games you weren't going to win. That Boston College game, like I said, should have won. And then you're looking at things a little different. Okay, you lose to Ohio State and Oregon, but you're still above 500 and you've got all your goals still ahead of you. And I think considering that it was such an impactful game on last year, this is one where I feel a lot of it is about pride. Michigan State, I think it's been a laughing stock. Okay. This season, it needs to prove that it belongs in the discussion as one of the more competitive teams in the Big Ten. And that doesn't mean a competitor like one of the teams competing for a Big Ten title, but that it can hang with those same competitors and that it should be taken seriously. So pride's a big thing. And this is a game that, you know, you need to win in that regard in terms of pride. And you can show, hey, we are a different team than last year. We learned from our mistakes. We're here now. We just beat a solid non-conference opponent. Now, then it's about how you win. If it's a narrow win, I think there's still a lot of questions to be answered. In that instance, you probably didn't play a great game. You probably made some mistakes, had some turnovers, either that and or had, you know, a good number of penalties, weren't as disciplined. I think if you win soundly, you'll know, okay, this Michigan State team really means business. This is the difference between winning this game by 3 or 4 points and 14 points will say a lot about this team. If you win by, say, at least 10, at least two touchdowns, you're looking at this team and saying, okay, this is a team that maybe can win 8 or 9 games. Then you're in that discussion. Um, but if it's a close one and you're still making lots of mistakes, you can't really determine much about this team because it's still only week two. But at the same time, you know, you're kind of saying, okay, there's still a lot we need to learn about this team to determine if it is much different from last year's. Now, if you lose, that's a big question. Um, I think a lot of people would feel like it's the end of the world. This team hasn't improved at all. Same team as it's been the past few years. I don't think that should necessarily be the case unless they just get brutally blown out, you know. Um, I just don't think you should act like the sky is falling if you do lose this game because there is still a path to a bowl game, and I think most fans would agree that if you do make a bowl game, it's you'd be pretty content with this season. It's an improvement upon last season. If you only win 6 games, still an improvement, not big improvement, but you're trending, in a positive direction. And I think, that was the consensus for most of the offseason was that that was kind of the goal, was making a bowl game. I think people are starting to realize with the talent this team has, with everyone it's brought back, that the bar should be raised, should be set a little higher for this team. So maybe not too many people would be pleased with merely 6 wins, but still, it it's not a step backward, and you're not staying stagnant. So you would still have that set in front of you. Um, you just wouldn't feel too optimistic about really getting there. Still probably wouldn't feel too optimistic about the future of the program if you ultimately go on to only win 6 games and whatnot. But point being, a loss, don't want to be sitting in that position going into week three. Um, this just it feels like a game that in a lot of ways, yeah, you do need to win. So I think there is a lot of weight with this game, more so than I had kind of anticipated there being going into the season. It is a very important game, and especially after last week when there's still some things that are up in the air. Um, and considering the opponent, you really don't know too much yet about this Michigan State team, and you will based on this game. So um, it is going to be a big one, and I think this team is mentally prepared for it. Um, I don't think they're letting emotions from last year get in the way, but it's still in the back of their minds. And I think the revenge aspect kind of goes hand in hand with just trying to get the win. Um, so I mean, it's there's a lot of ways that this thing can go. Um, and it does carry a lot of weight. But I think Michigan State will win. How they win, I don't know. But you need to win. Um, and I say that not saying it's a must win in the sense that you're not going to make a bowl game if you don't win it, but it's a must win in terms of separating yourself from last year and um, maybe reaching that bar that has been raised in terms of like 7, 8, even maybe even 9 wins. I think nine's a reach. I anticipated 8 wins going into the year. I'm still sticking by that. But yeah, so big game. And I hope you guys are excited for this one. I'm expecting a jam-packed crowd, prime time, and it's a revenge game. So, with all that said, this is my last time speaking on this podcast, hosting this podcast, and it has been an honor, uh, serving the fans of this great school, this great athletic department, this football team. It's been a blast, and I've very much appreciated the support along the way, and um, it's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed it, and I hope you all have enjoyed having me. And yeah, for the final time from me, I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you enjoyed this game, and I will not talk to you next time. Um, but like I said, it's been fun. It's been an honor, and I've really enjoyed the ride. So thank you all for following along. Again, have a great weekend.